Should we start start again with the Star Wars?
We better start again.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
How do we fit a Star Wars opening to the cold open?
I really don't have anything to say. I was trying to think of something to say. My brain just went, just stop.
All right, we'll just stop.
Right, should we start again? Because then it makes it sound like we've just carried it.
I have absolutely no idea what's going on right now.
No, neither do I.
Okay, let's just start. Right, hello, I am Sam.
I'm Ian.
And we welcome you back to the Deep Dive 5. We are now on episode 6. This is a show where we dive into 5 topics regarding the career of a filmmaker and their latest film or TV show. It's Queen Amidala herself. I can't believe you don't get that.
I don't get it.
Oh, for God's sake.
I don't get it.
Natalie Portman's latest film is the Guy Ritchie heist adventure film Fountain of Youth. The film will have its worldwide release on Apple TV Plus on the 23rd of May. Ian, are you a fan of Natalie Portman, and do you think she will fit in to a Guy Ritchie movie?
Oh, it's good question. To answer your first part, yes, I am a fan of Natalie Portman. To answer your second part, do you know what? When you look back at her career, as we do in this show, at first I would have turned around and said, nah, she's too big for that. She's too big for a Guy Ritchie movie. Like, she's Oscar win, she's had a couple of nominations. On top of that, she's got this high-fledged career. I always put Natalie Portman quite high up in like the Hollywood tier list, should we say. Like, she's like S tier. And so when she did Thor, for instance, I was a bit like, that's a bit of a big get. But she's also someone that I could see walking away from it. Like, like when they didn't know if she was going to be in Ragnarok and all of that lot. There was rumours surrounding it. It was like, well, is she too kind of too big for Marvel movies? Is she too much to have that recurring role in that way?
Well,
and then I started
came out on the
looking
back
at
of Black Swan, didn't it?
Yeah. But then as I started looking back through her back catalogue and stuff, the more I realised she has a really diverse catalogue of movies that she's been in that ranges from huge blockbusters to really small indies that have massively fluctuated. So in the last episode was Ben Affleck, right? If I remember right, that was the last one we did. So the Ben Affleck episode we did, you could literally see a period of 10 years where it was terrible. With Natalie Portman, she bounces around so much between all these different projects that it makes me kind of go, yeah, give Guy Ritchie movie a go. I genuinely feel like she can just adapt to it. I have no idea what she's going to be like in it.
Well, she's starring in a very interesting period with Guy Ritchie because, what's your take on Guy Ritchie generally?
I don't run to the cinema for a Guy Ritchie movie.
He has been so prolific in the last 7 years. I honestly think he has made a film every year.
It's all gone straight to Amazon as well. Straight to Amazon. But this is the first Apple
yes,
project.
I believe so.
Everything else has gone straight to Amazon.
I think since The Gentleman, mixture of COVID. I don't know what it is. He's done so much and he's got so many big stars in everything he does. He's also done a sequel TV show to The Gentleman. He's just got Mobland out with Tom Hardy and Pierce Brosnan and Helen Mirren. And he's got this film out, which is... how many has he done a heist film previously?
Yes, he did a heist film. He did 2 heist films during COVID, back to back.
I know,
and they were basically exactly the same film twice. It was a very, very, very strange combination, but it's like globetrotting. So it was like a James Bond-esque type caper.
Yeah, I know Lock, Stock obviously has elements of a heist film, but it has so much more than that going on.
Yeah. So it was Wrath of Man, and then he had Operation Fortune, Rue de Guerre.
Yes.
Which is I think that was almost like a heisty type movie.
Oh, okay. I've not seen that
but
one.
But those 2 came out. It felt like they came out back to back because I think one of them, it must have been Wrath of Man, which was the Jason Statham kind of platform. The advert for that looked very similar. And I remember seeing them back to back and just being like, oh, this is weird. Both on Amazon. Both, I think Wrath of Man had come to Amazon at the same time that the one I just mentioned, the Rue de Guerre one. Operation, yeah. That came out. And it was really hard then to tell the difference between what you're going to see.
He's done The Covenant with Jake Gyllenhaal. He's done the Ministry of Undeadly Warfare with Henry Cavill.
He's also just signed on to do the sequel to Roadhouse, hasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, Jake
Yes.
Gyllenhaal took
Yeah.
Roadhouse 2 essentially.
But in terms of a female acting, I think Natalie Portman is probably the highest known out of all his films. Because Guy Ritchie films are generally quite sort of like masculine and like particularly in the early days, it was very much like about London gangsters.
Yeah, I
Going
suppose
from there.
Aladdin.
Oh yeah, of course, Aladdin. Well, Aladdin. I think he just made Aladdin to fund these like 400 films that he's got in the pipeline.
True.
But I mean, one question I will say about Natalie Portman is that, I mean, we'll talk more about. I'll tell you what, we'll do the backstory now, and then I'll ask you this question after. Yeah, Natalie Portman was born in Israel in 1981. Her actual name is Natalie Hirschlag, which I did not know until doing the research. She later moved to the US with her family and showed early promise in ballet, which will obviously serve later on in probably her most famous role in Black Swan. Would you say?
Well, pretty
Yeah.
tall, all that.
She soon fell in love with acting. After auditioning for the role of Matilda in Leon the Professional, Hirschlag changed her surname to Portman, her grandmother's maiden name. Leon was Portman's career breakthrough at the age of just 13. After her Broadway debut in 1998, Portman's career reached new levels of fame when she played Padme Amidala in the Star Wars prequels. Amid a mixed critical reception to the prequels, Portman found success in smaller and independent films such as Closer and Garden State. Portman's career peaked after starring in 2010's Black Swan, which earned her the Oscar for Best Actress. Portman's next foray into franchise films was the MCU, where she played Jane Foster, the love interest of Thor from 2011 to 2022. Outside of the MCU, Portman has starred in the successful Jackie, which earned her second Oscar nomination, playing Jackie Kennedy, and Annihilation and May December before the upcoming release of Fountain of Youth. So my question to you is Leon the Professional, or Leon as most people know it, the best debut from a child actor or actress?
Well, without actually going away and researching it, I can't really answer that question, but it's a pretty good debut. Only person that I'd say probably comes even close to that is what's her name? She won an Oscar for the piano, and she was in X-Men. She was
she's in The Irishman. Hang on.
Well, she got one line in The Irishman.
But it was such a good line. Anna
Paquin.
Paquin, yeah.
Yeah, so that good internet.
Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah, I suppose so.
The Harry Potter kids.
I suppose the thing is, though, the Harry Potter kids lend itself to a child star at the forefront of it, a bit like Home Alone, right? But this was a secondary character. Like, it's like a supporting role.
Who goes through some grim stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we have just named, like, if you're looking at Macaulay Culkin, then you're looking at all the kids in Harry Potter movies, Anna Paquin, and obviously now we're looking at Natalie Portman. You could arguably say that Natalie Portman, I mean, even Jodie Foster started really young.
Jodie Foster would be my other sort of like really well-known one.
So, but that's because I'm trying to think of anyone probably before Portman that would have had as much success without, say, going into musicals and things like that. Then you'd probably say that Portman's probably following in the footsteps, at least, of Jodie Foster.
Is this up there as like one of the most famous? Because it's almost like people don't remember or think about this too much, that she's really good in Leon. It's a really grim film.
It's such a grim film. And also, it's really troubling.
Oh, massively.
Yeah, like hugely troubling.
Well,
and yet it's still a
Besson,
fantastic movie.
Yeah.
It's one of those, it's a film that courts controversy. And yet, for some reason, you see through it and you just go, it's still a fantastic film.
I mean, the story of Leon itself is Leon is a hitman who lives in the apartment of Natalie Portman's family, who are brutally murdered by a corrupt cop played by Gary Oldman. And Leon sort of takes Natalie Portman in and basically makes her his protege as a hitman. And it's like the film's essentially about their relationship and getting revenge on Gary Oldman, who is absolutely amazing in this film. Everyone's like sort of playing their A game. I think that's like the thing that makes it work. Yeah, it's an amazing debut for her. And she didn't really... I mean, she was also in Heat. She plays Al Pacino's stepdaughter, I believe, in Heat. Yeah, just reflecting on her films. I mean, where do you rank her in terms of actresses in the last like 20, 30 years. And has she been in sort of like the most high-hitting franchises? Because obviously, yeah, she played a prominent role in the Star Wars prequels. I know they're critically maligned, but they were very big and still are. Then you've got the MCU. And sort of sandwiched in between both of these is an Oscar win in a very, very strange film called Black Swan.
Yeah, I think she's had a really good run as an actor. I think like I mentioned at the start, you've got a lot of actors, and the whole point of when we look at this Deep Dive 5 is to go back into someone's career and take a look and analyse exactly where the highs were, where the lows were, and how ones affect the other. You know, the episodes that we've done so far, there's been those moments, those pure moments where you just go, okay, this was when they were on a bit of a downturn, and then this is when they had their golden moment. As I said, Natalie Portman seems to kind of bounce around between like these huge mega blockbusters, but then these smaller independent films, and it means then that the really good stuff is also littered amongst all the bad stuff in a way that's a lot less not coherent. That's not the right word. A lot less predictable, if that makes sense. Like all of a sudden she'll be in something that's absolutely fantastic that you go, this is absolutely amazing. And then next she's doing something like Vox Lux or Lucy in the Sky or something like that, which is really like poorly received. And then she'll go and do May December, which is like a Sky movie. You know, like it's all over the place. But at the same time, she's sandwiching that with like a Thor, Love and Thunder, and you're like, wow, it's such an interesting career.
Can I give a hot take? I feel like a lot of people will know her for the prequels and the MCU, and I think not only is the characters in both those franchises flawed, I think her performances aren't particularly brilliant.
In the bigger franchises?
In both Star Wars and the MCU. She's very forgettable in the MCU, and obviously she's involved in probably the worst written romance in terms of dialogue and chemistry that we've probably seen in the last like 20, 30 years.
Oh, it's a Razzie wins, I think,
does she get nominated for Razzies?
No, she's only ever been nominated for Razzies.
What's your opinion on her performances in the prequels? Because she doesn't get a lot of the criticism that Hayden Christensen got.
No.
And why is that?
Possibly because she had other stuff going on.
So did he, though. Because I think Closer and Shattered Glass came
isn't exactly
out
the best like follow-up to Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, but they were both mixing it up with the prequels and doing sort of smaller budget films.
Well, yeah, but the difference is what you pick and how good you are in it.
But
the difference when you're looking at between, if you say, for instance, look at Phantom Menace, right? She's still pretty young while doing that.
Yeah.
She's coming off the back. That's 3 years between Mars Attacks and then Phantom Menace. And then, so between Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith, she has Zoolander, which obviously is like more of a walk-on park, Cold Mountain, Garden State, Closer, and then you could arguably say, and in the same year as Revenge of the Sith is V for Vendetta and Paris Chateau. And 1 year after that is Darjeeling Limited. So tell me what Hayden Christensen was doing.
No, what I'm saying is Hayden, like they both did fairly standout performances in around 2004-ish. Like when Shattered Glass came out with Hayden Christensen,
yeah.
Natalie Portman did Closer and Garden State. And I think, particularly in Attack of the Clones, they are as bad as each other. But he gets a lot more of the...
Oh, he's the main character.
But a lot of what makes those films, quote unquote, work, or what they're trying to do, is their relationship. It's kind of what the prequels is centered on, and I think she is as bad as he is.
I don't think she is as bad as he is.
Do you think?
No, because he can't deliver a line of dialogue in those movies, whereas she can. Like
not much
not
better.
Great. No,
it reminds me of Bram Stoker's Dracula.
But you're also working.
Keanu Reeves is bad. And so is Winona Ryder.
But you have performances, but there's a lot that goes into the performance. It's direction, it's writing, it's the script, it's all of those things that unless there's a lot of people that will just take a very big paycheck and will just go, okay, I'm kind of happy with just turning up. They can't fire me because I'm a massive part of this franchise. I'll just take. I will save the best acting for another day. And that's not to say that she phoned it in or anything like that. But I'm just saying, as a production goes, there's probably not a lot of room to manoeuvre. There's also probably not a lot of acting when everything around you is green.
Yes.
And none of this stuff exists. So to actually imagine that world and kind of conjure up an imagination.
When are we going to do a Hayden Christensen deep dive?
Oh, hopefully soon. Hopefully soon. I mean, that'd be scraping for those movies. I'll really. Yeah. They don't even stream those. But I have to find them.
I don't. I just think Natalie Portman. I find it very hard to think of a film where she is like brilliant. Like really, really great.
Black Swan.
Other than Leon, which is weird because she was like, it's almost ironic because obviously kids actors are famous for being terrible, but she actually is like very good in Leon. Black Swan, she's
definitely Black Swan.
I think Darren Aronofsky gets more out of that film than she does personally. I think his vision is like what kind of makes the whole thing work because it's very rare. I mean, it's a horror film fundamentally. I know it's psychological horror. But it won like the Oscars, and that's very, very rare. So I think that is more of an achievement for him than say her. Not to like diminish her win. Basically, what I'm saying is when I think of Black Swan, I don't necessarily just think about Natalie Portman.
Yeah. I think when you look at the list of films that she's been in, there's really
I like
always
her in
has a
Annihilation.
leading role, but she's never quite. She's always seems to be supporting a better performance somewhere else. Do you know what I mean?
That's
like
a good point.
If you look at even say something like Closer, I love Closer as a movie. I think it's so great. But
Mike Nichols.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you consider Julia Roberts' performance in Closer, Clive Owen, Jude Law, it just feels like a supporting role. It's still great, but it's within other great performances. It gets kind of lost, right? It doesn't kind of shine. And so when you then look down the rest of the list, when you're just kind of like, right, well, where else could those performances come from? You've obviously got Leon. Leon's the only one where I would say actually stand out. You know, she really kind of takes a bite out of that role in a way that showcases her star power, shall we say? Which is phenomenal for someone of that age, right? But, you know, she's got no fears at that point. She can do whatever she wants, and she does, and that's why she's still around, right? I would probably say in terms of other performances, some people would say V for Vendetta, but I've always had a problem with V for Vendetta. Yeah. Darjeeling Limited, again, it's more of a supporting role, but the Darjeeling Limited role is very similar to Garden State. Brothers, she's pretty good in that. That is Jake Gyllenhaal and Tobey Maguire.
Annihilation is probably the standout film of the last God knows how many years.
Yeah, Jackie, though. She's good in Jackie. It's a good character study.
Yes.
She's actually quite good in May, December. She's good in May, December. But again, when you've got Julianne Moore to act against, it's that supporting role, right? She is arguably probably the best actor in the Thor films. But that's not really saying a lot unless you're
Stellan
comparing it to
Skarsgård.
Anthony Hopkins.
Oh, Anthony Hopkins, yeah.
You know.
I love the stuff Anthony Hopkins has said about the Marvel films.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It's just so him.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, this is just basically like garbage. I wasted my time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Although he is that Anthony Hopkins is in a Guy Ritchie film. He's not in this one. He's in the next one with Henry Cavill, I think. Or is he in Fountain of Youth? My God, when are we going to do Anthony Hopkins?
I think we might need to prepare for more than 3 weeks for an Anthony Hopkins movie.
3 years?
I'll have to just go and see. Well, I'd have to go and find a lot of his stuff. I've probably owned quite a bit of his stuff, but
Wife and Dog with Benedict Cumberbatch. Okay. Anthony Hopkins is in it. But yeah, I mean, we can probably move on to like, where do you think her career will progress from here? Because, I mean, when was the last real big hit where she starred? Like, when is her... It's probably too late to have an Erin Brockovich. But where is her Erin Brockovich? Where she is like, that is, I feel like what most people know Julia Roberts for outside of like Notting Hill. Like, well,
I think she's had that with Jackie, personally.
Jackie.
I think Jackie is that transformative role.
Okay.
I was I liked Jackie. I did think it was quite transformative. but it was what it was. It was a very kind of avant-garde kind of approach to a character that we didn't really know a lot about, and she had the freedom to be able to kind of be both a caricature but also develop things in a little bit more than perhaps other freedoms of the character, compared to, say, when you look at Gary Oldman as Churchill, for instance. There's not a lot of moving in that character. Like, there's so much about Churchill, for instance, that is pretty much a good character study in that sense, but you're kind of, your edges are quite clearly drawn, Whereas with someone like Jackie, she probably was allowed a little bit more freedom around certain things. It's still a caricature, as I said, but I think it's still, there's just nuance to it that perhaps some characters in that you can't sometimes get with that type of role. But no, I think it's an interesting question, because she hasn't been around a lot the last few years. And her last few films, aside from going back to, again, she's had that massive fluctuation in success. There's some good stuff there. There's some terrible stuff. Lucy in the Sky is a particular
Jane and the Gun, I've heard, is not particularly brilliant.
Jane and the Gun's supposed to be all right. I mean, you're looking at 2015 there. You're looking at 10 years ago now. May, December's 23 now, 2023.
Yeah.
So we're looking at a good couple of years now between some of the last things that she's done. I think she does a lot of producing now.
Yeah, she has her own
she a
production
bit like Reese
company.
Witherspoon? Reese Witherspoon is like a big production house now, which is producing a lot of stuff. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see her go into that role with the odd Natalie Portman, she'll just turn up in things.
Do you think that she will return to Star Wars or the MCU in the near future?
It wouldn't surprise me if she turns up again in the MCU. Would surprise me if she turns up in Star Wars.
Do you think that she is very disappointed by the outcome of Thor: Love and Thunder? Because there's a lot of anticipation with her coming back and playing basically like the female equivalent of Thor. And that film, I mean, it was a mixture of COVID, so it flopped, but it's a very divisive film.
So my theory on this, and I think there's a lot about that phase in general, was Kevin Feige, he was told to look at TV. So everyone that had directed an MCU movie that had done really well, I think, was given more leeway. They were given more control over projects. And that's why we ended up with such a massively diverse amount of Phase 3, I think it was, or Phase 4, I can't remember now. But that's my theory, is that because he was stretched too thin, there was no one there to kind of say, you need to rein that in a little bit. So we had a massively Taika Waititi meme-filled movie that really was all over the place, that was trying to be serious about cancer. And it was like, I really don't know. Tonally, it was all over the place. It didn't work at all. No. Well, for me personally, it didn't work at all. I remember sitting in the cinema just thinking, how is this so different to Ragnarok? Like, I've never gone back to it. I will always go back to an MCU movie, but Love and Thunder, the screaming goats, for instance, and stuff like that, where I was just like, what's going on here?
Well, I think it's just the classic case of they had a bit of control with Ragnarok, and then, well, this is a success. You obviously know what you're doing.
Well, that's what I mean. That's why I think
the film,
he was given way too much freedom.
Yeah,
and that's then what led to Love and Thunder. And I think, unfortunately, that's where then the impact of that character then kind of fell over a bit, because this is an opportunity. I mean, Taika Waititi, in a weird way, this is why I was so disappointed by it. He does that stuff really well. He does really human storytelling in really unusual circumstances. He just gets it. Love and Thunder just didn't get it. It just didn't. It was so far away from his wheelhouse. It felt too much hubris. It was almost like, oh yeah, I can do this, and I'm going to make it as silly as possible.
It felt like a parody of his style.
Yeah, it was like his character in Free Guy.
Yes. That's
right.
Yeah,
I slightly feel like that is
by far the worst part of that entire film.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel like that must have been what was at the heart of Love and Thunder. Oddly,
yeah.
She must have been disappointed with it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think it was her most anticipated film for God knows how long, because she obviously had a lot more of a starring role compared to 4, 1 and 2.
Yeah,
but I mean, going back to Star Wars, I can kind of see that potentially happening. She did kind of. She appeared in flashbacks in the Obi-Wan show.
Did she?
Yeah, not just from Revenge of the Sith. They did like a little flashback
Okay.
thing at the start. But I'm very sort of intrigued which direction her career will go.
Yeah.
I always think, could she do a good job in directing? Because obviously she does a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So
Yeah, she's done a couple of things. So she directed a segment in New York, I Love You, which was one of those anthology movies, which, yeah, was what it was. But she directed that. But she's also done A Tower of Love and Darkness, which I haven't seen, but she did direct that. I think it was in 2015 she did that, but she hasn't done anything since. So whether she goes back to directing, it's quite a long gap between them picking up the camera again. So I would say probably for the time being, if I was going to put money on it, I'd say probably producer, and then we'll turn up in things that has a bit of meat on the bones, like your May Decembers and stuff like that. I think you will see some of that. But it wouldn't surprise me if for a little while we see her having just a little bit of fun, because she can.
yeah,
She can do a Guy Ritchie movie. She can do one of those globe-trotting, like, kind of heist movies. She can do that because she can at the moment. And if that can be used then to then funnel into producing more movies, which are at the heart of what she does. She's a humanitarian. She's I think she's something to do with the UN.
Yes.
She's an ambassador of the UN. So she's got other stuff going on, right? Like it's not the forefront of what she's doing. So
when was the last time you saw Annihilation?
I watched it when it was on Netflix.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because Alex Garland.
Yeah.
Yes, might be his most underrated film. It's really good.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good. I know it was quite sort of divisive on the internet, as it so often is. But it's got one of the strangest scenes involving like a weird bear that
Yeah.
I've seen in many years.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like looking at her films in terms of like franchise films, is she up there with like Scarlett Johansson, where that it's not so much just like their acting, but like the scale of their like fame and the films they've been in. Is Natalie Portman like in the top 3 of like the 21st century?
Well, that's what I
Like
said at the
Keira
beginning.
Knightley did like Pirates of the Caribbean and
That's what I said at the beginning. Like, I don't know if it's almost like the movies that she's been in has been huge, but she has been able to circumnavigate those with other stuff. Like her better stuff is the smaller movie. It's got perhaps a little bit more. It's got, as I mentioned, it's just got your smaller movies with smaller budgets give you a bit more freedom to do what you want to do. The bigger budgets are just you come in, you say the lines, you walk off. Or in this case, you come in, you attempt to imagine what this world looks like, and then you walk off the stage. It's because even in 2021, when Thor: Love and Thunder was being shot, you can't tell me that's not all. I mean, it's all green screen. That whole thing is green screen.
she must be
And
so
so-
fed up of green screen.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, but then you see something like Garden State,
yeah.
which is literally, it's all going to be. It's not even going to be sets. That's going to be someone's house. You know, that they just borrowed for like 3 days or something like that. And you know, there's a dichotomy in that type of project that she must feel perhaps more comfortable on those smaller sets. Even Annihilation isn't like a massive thing. I mean, she was pregnant while she did Annihilation as well.
Really?
But she was able to do things that, you know, it's an unusual movie. It is a female-led cast of explorers, essentially. Which has not been done before, and hasn't really been done since, you know, unless you count Ghostbusters.
So, would you, based on everything we've said, recommend our listeners to see Fountain of Youth?
Based on Natalie Portman alone, good question. I question whether or not she is the draw for this, if I'm being honest. I think you're more likely going to see this if you're a Guy Ritchie enthusiast.
John Krasinski
is
the lead.
Yeah. If you like a good cast of characters, because your Guy Ritchie movie is an ensemble movie, right? At its heart, a Guy Ritchie movie is that. So to turn around and say, oh yeah, it's got Natalie Portman in it, go and see it because of Natalie Portman. I'm not sure. I think if you were to give me more of a character piece or something that was a bit that had a bit more meat on its bones, I'd say, yeah, all right, she's more of a draw. In this case, I wonder if she's a bit like... Do you remember... my brain is not very good today. There was a film that came out, 3 Faces of January. Or no, 2 Faces of January. So this is a Viggo Mortensen kind of driver. The main actors in it were Viggo Mortensen, Oscar Isaacs, and then Kirsten Dunst was in it. This has that same similar feeling as that.
Okay.
Where it's like Kirsten Dunst was in that movie. and she does a good performance in that movie, but she's not the front of that movie because it is a bit of an ensemble in that respect. I get the same vibes from this.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I would turn around and say, from looking at her like back catalogue and that, I'd be like, yeah, guys, this, it's got Natalie Portman in it.
Yeah, I mean it's tricky because I am a fan of Guy Ritchie, and I have seen quite a few of his recent films, and they're very by the numbers.
Okay.
They're very unmemorable, which is
They're
a
very
problem.
straight to streaming.
Yes, they feel very cheap and not thought out. And the thing with Guy Ritchie is that his films, even if they're quite poor, are somewhat memorable. Even Swept Away, the all-time classic with his betrothed Madonna.
Fantastic.
But his films just feel like very just like they just come out because they need to fill a quota on a streaming platform.
Yeah.
Which I kind of hate.
He's making content.
He's making content. I could just say what you want about Guy Ritchie. He was always authentic.
Well, he's not anymore.
But no, I'm intrigued by it because I mean, at the very least, he's getting very good cast together. I mean, like he's got Henry Cavill and Natalie Portman, John Krasinski, Benedict Cumberbatch, Anthony Hopkins, as we just said. Although saying that, I reckon Anthony Hopkins is in one scene in that film.
Oh, and it will steal the movie.
And it was still the movie.
Yeah.
But no, I'm intrigued. I hope Natalie Portman's very nostalgic to me. She'll always be Padme.
See, now for me, she would always be Leon in Leon.
Oh, okay, interesting. I suppose you saw that. Well, not to age you horribly, but I suppose you saw that before. Because that's what I mean. When my earliest memory of Natalie Portman would obviously be Padme.
So
there was no prior.
I started getting into movies really heavily in 99, 2000. And it was a case of a mate of mine, pretty much every weekend, I'd go around his, he'd come around mine, we'd just watch movies. It was like the typical Blockbuster thing, like mum and dad would go and rent some movies from Blockbuster, we would then, nab a couple of them, and then we would stay up late and watch them. And it was about the same time that Blair Witch and stuff came out on video. And that was, I think that's why I can kind of put a pin on, that's the exact moment I started getting into movies. Because we did Blair Witch, we had a massive chat about it. And then from that point onwards, we then went back and we started to do loads of movies. So at the time, we were like, right, there's Matrix and, all that lot was coming out, which was really exciting stuff. And he had a whole wall of VHS. His parents love movies. And he had a whole wall of VHS. And one of them was Leon. And I remember it was almost like an education. Every single time we went to that wall and went, right, what is a really good movie to go and watch? And his stepdad would just be like, you got to watch that, or you got to watch that, you got to watch that. And Leon was one of those films. It was one of those moments where I can kind of absolutely turn around and say, that was one of the films that got me into cinema. And it's then followed with me. I think in a weird way, I've had that then whole journey with Natalie Portman. I've seen her then go through a lot of stuff because I watched that when I couldn't have been,
Came out in 94.
94 it came
94,
out. I watched it in 98, so I would have been 10.
Yeah.
And so, probably a little bit too young to be seeing Leon the Professional. But I feel like I followed a career at that point, and she's always been around.
And she doesn't look that much different. Maybe the Fountain of Youth is her.
Yeah, perhaps that's it.
Yeah, that's it. So the whole film is just
the de-aging process began in 94.
With all that said, should we finish off the pod?
Let's finish it off.
Let's finish it off. So, right, thank you for tuning in to the latest episode of the Deep Dive 5. We want to hear your opinions on the career of Natalie Portman. What would you rank as her career highlight? If you would like to get more out of the real project, you can find us on Spotify. Goodbye, and we will see you soon.
Bye-bye.